Asteroid Lilith, 1181, in the 4th house, the shadowed hearth. The placement of Asteroid Lilith, 1181, in the 4th house of your natal chart introduces a profound, complex exploration of the shadow self within the most private and foundational areas of your life. While the 4th house traditionally governs the home, family, ancestry, and the deepest emotional underpinnings of your psyche, Asteroid Lilith represents untamed instinct, raw passion, and the parts of yourself that have been demonized, suppressed, or cast out by societal norms. When these two energies combine, they create a fascinating psychological landscape where your most authentic, instinctual self intersects with your need for security and belonging. The core archetype of Asteroid Lilith. In astrological interpretation, Asteroid Lilith, 1181, is distinct from the Black Moon Lilith point. While Black Moon Lilith represents an apogee point dealing with sovereignty and rejection, Asteroid Lilith represents your raw boundaries, personal autonomy, and the uninhibited, sometimes taboo ways you assert your desires. Asteroid Lilith points to the areas where you are unwilling to compromise your individuality or conform to the status quo. It is the raw, untamed voice within that rejects submission and demands equality and respect. When placed in the home and family sector, this Lilith archetype manifests as an internal rebellion against traditional domestic expectations, conditioned family roles, or generational suppressions. Navigating the 4th house environment. The 4th house is the root of the birth chart. It represents your emotional foundation, childhood conditioning, and the space where you retreat to feel safe. Having Asteroid Lilith here means your personal sanctuary is the primary stage for your deepest psychological struggles and triumphs. You may feel a sense of being an outcast or the black sheep within your own family or ancestral line. There can be a deep-seated feeling that your most instinctual and passionate qualities were not welcomed at the family table, leading you to hide your true nature behind a mask of domestic compliance. Alternatively, you may have grown up in an unconventional or highly unstable household, forcing you to develop fierce independence early in life. Shadow integration and family dynamics. One of the greatest gifts of this placement is the opportunity to reclaim your power regarding where and how you belong. With Asteroid Lilith in the 4th house, the path to wholeness requires you to integrate your shadow through 3 distinct layers. Ancestral and generational healing. You are tasked with breaking free from generational taboos and toxic family dynamics. This means recognizing where family members have sacrificed their autonomy and choosing to model a different, more liberated way of being at home. Redefining security. You may feel an intense urge to build a chosen family or to live in alternative, avant-garde housing situations rather than conforming to the traditional nuclear model. Your home is not just a place of comfort, but a private realm where you can explore your deepest, most unvarnished emotions without judgment. Embracing the inner matriarch. There is a powerful undercurrent of unbridled emotional intelligence connected to this placement. You can learn to trust your instincts, even the dark or messy ones, and create a domestic life that honors your authentic boundaries rather than pleasing others. Reclaiming your domestic sovereignty. Ultimately, Asteroid Lilith in the 4th house asks you to stop apologizing for your raw emotional nature within your private sphere. By acknowledging your hidden or suppressed desires for independence, you can transform your domestic space into a true temple of self-acceptance. Instead of hiding the unconventional parts of your personality, you can turn your home into a safe haven for authenticity, radical self-expression, and deep psychological healing. Asteroid Lilith, 1181, transiting the 4th house, unearthing the domestic shadow. The transit of Asteroid Lilith through the 4th house marks a period of deep emotional excavation, psychological unearthing, and the confrontation of ancestral taboos. While a transit of the 4th house normally draws our attention inward to the private realms of home, family, and the foundational self, the introduction of Lilith brings a sharp, instinctual, and uncompromising energy to these quiet spaces. Asteroid Lilith represents our raw boundaries, uninhibited passions, and the parts of ourselves that have been suppressed or demonized by societal expectations. When this archetype moves through the domestic sector of your chart, it challenges the status quo of your private life, demanding that you reclaim your authentic power at the very root of your being. The mechanics of the Lilith transit. Asteroid Lilith takes approximately 4 years and 4 months to complete a full orbit through the zodiac, spending a variable amount of time in each house depending on the eccentricities of its path. Unlike the slow, generational transits of outer planets, a Lilith transit acts as a sharp, intermittent catalyst. It brings a sudden, piercing awareness to the places where you have compromised your autonomy to keep the peace. When transiting the 4th house, Lilith acts as a mirror reflecting the hidden, unexpressed facets of your psyche back into your domestic environment. You may find that long-buried memories, unspoken family tensions, or suppressed feelings of resentment bubble to the surface, demanding your attention. It is a period where the inner rebel is awakened inside the 4 walls of your home. Confronting domestic conditioning and taboos. The 4th house governs your roots, your early childhood conditioning, your relationship with your parents or caregivers, and the physical or emotional space where you feel safe. As asteroid Lilith moves through this territory, it brings friction to outdated domestic structures. During this transit, you may experience several psychological shifts. Challenging family dynamics. You may find yourself clashing with family members over matters of independence and personal boundaries. Expectations to conform to traditional family roles may feel suffocating, prompting you to assert your authentic self, even at the risk of causing temporary discord. Unearthing the ancestral shadow, Lilith brings light to generational patterns of suppression. You might recognize where past generations were forced to hide their true desires or conform to restrictive environments. This awareness gives you the power to break those cycles. Redefining your sanctuary. What makes you feel safe is undergoing a transformation. You may realize that the safety you built was actually a form of restriction, and you are called to redefine your home life around emotional honesty rather than surface-level harmony. Embracing personal sovereignty in private. The ultimate purpose of this transit is not to destroy your home or alienate your family, but to integrate your rawest emotions into your sense of self. Throughout this transit, the friction you feel within the home is a signal that your boundaries are being tested or that you are not honoring your inner authority. Navigating this transit successfully requires radical self-honesty. Acknowledge suppressed anger. Allow yourself to feel any latent rage or frustration associated with past limitations without guilt. These emotions are valid signals pointing to where you have been disempowered. Set firm domestic boundaries. Redefine your personal space so that it supports your autonomy. This might involve setting firmer boundaries with family members, changing your living situation, or simply dedicating an area of your home entirely to your personal, uninhibited self-expression. Integrate the Lilith archetype. By accepting your own wildness and emotional depth within your private life, you strip away the fear of being different or unacceptable to those closest to you. Stepping into emotional autonomy. Asteroid Lilith's transit through the 4th house is a profound initiation into emotional sovereignty. It asks you to stop apologizing for the depth and intensity of your feelings and to build a foundation of security that honors your true, complex nature. Once this transit is complete, you are left with a home and a foundational self that is built on truth, empowerment, and the courage to stand your ground. Subscribe, like, and share.